Salam, salam. Abdul Abbott, we back at it. His reaction to Tyreek Radio. Like and subscribe. You heard? Um, him talking with Vampire Vlad, and we're gonna see what they're talking about right now. It's very confusing to me how he don't know much about his children's lineage. That was interesting. But there's a phenomenon going on, I guess. We go from you know prisoners to niggas, coons, coloreds, Negroes, you know, black, African American, American African. The name just keeps changing. It's probably as stupid as calling someone a language instead of an actual nation. Okay. Um, but yeah, we're gonna see what our brother Tyreek is talking about here on Vlad. Nigga need a TV.
What gave you such a negative disposition about what foundational Black Americans mean?
I don't think it was a negative, approach to it. It was just an approach of unity as opposed to separation. And I just felt like as someone who has, half Black kids myself, I want
Did he just change his voice when he's talking about having black kids? That's crazy.
them to embrace everybody, and I want everyone to embrace them.
Right.
And I felt that in this particular situation, I was seeing kind of fault on both sides. I wasn't saying, oh, this group is wrong and this group is right. I just felt like a division with two people who, from the outside looking in America, look the same to people, to white people and to the police and so forth, to people who actually have negative intentions. Certain people have negative intentions towards them. And I just felt like when I heard about the whole the boycotting of the African hair shops, I was just like, I don't know. It just didn't sit right on me.
Yeah,
and maybe because I didn't understand the whole thing.
It's a hair shop out here. It must not be a lot of Africans in this area, California or something, because they put you to the ringer. I'm from the East Coast. Like, I know what y'all could do, what y'all can't do. They be telling sisters they little sons, I mean, they be have a little afro, little 2-inch afro type. Oh no, we gonna need to put weave in this. Oh no, we can't do this. We can't do this. Straight scammers. It's terrible. They put you left and right, left and right. It's always a different price every time you go there. Um, Using dirty ass towels, charge you $20 for blow dry and wash or whatnot, or double that of what it's supposed to be. It's terrible. It's so bad that one of their workers ran away, started her own little hair salon in her apartment. She got a little article about her and all that. Shout out to Angie here. But yeah, very scheming bunch.
Right. And that was basically one person on TikTok.
But it went very viral.
It did go viral.
It did go viral.
And you know why it went viral? It went viral because a lot of African and Caribbeans, they started using that as an excuse to attack Black Americans. So they made thousands of videos like, oh, the Black Americans ain't shit to these niggas. It was a whole bunch of that.
Yeah, that was crazy. Like, you can't leave us. They was wilding. Like, I have no idea what this boycott was. I got to hear myself, and I do go to African spots. So I don't know what. They was just like, it felt like maybe they were so afraid, but they're the main ones to say, you are not we and we are not you. I mean, they'd be the first ones to tell you. I know this because I'm a fanatic of genealogy and whatnot. And, I've been trying to find a certain tribe, but, even when I was into the Israelite thing, I can't be because my Y chromosome isn't from Africa. Because they say it goes through your lineage, Y to the father or whatever. From the Black American and whatnot. So my lineage is either the Scottish or Native American. But I was even going to that, even getting into that, I wanted to know more about my father's side because I knew so much about my mother's side and went all the way back to the 1455. But that's on the British, Irish, Scottish side. But I say that to say this: Nigerians, Africans, a lot of them, and they will let you know, like, oh, we're not this. Well, specifically Nigeria, where a lot of people derive a lot of percentage of the Yoruba blood, right? And they will let like nah, or they still say kata and all that. You know, they'll let you know first, or Caribbean, but oh no, but I'm from Saint Kitts. You know what I mean? This like staying attitude. The disdain.
That made it go viral. So yeah,
so it was going back and forth.
It was going back and forth, but it started up with one person talking about doing a boycott, and then that was the excuse for everybody to just kind of dogpile on the situation and blow it up even more. All right, so Vlad, you mentioned your children,
yes,
babies, and part of their lineage, do they come from? Is that lineage part of an immigrant background?
I don't think so. I believe it's mostly Black American background.
Okay,
yeah,
Southern Black American.
Believe so.
You believe so?
I believe so.
You would know.
I believe so. Well, I think it's mostly, it depends on how far back you go.
Look at Tyreek, he like, I smell tether. Tum, 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 tum. Look at his face, look at me. Hey, like, yeah, nigga. He's like, yeah, where they from? Look, look at his face. I swear, I've been listening to some of his stuff just to laugh. But he got jokes, boy.
So, like, I think it's mostly East Coast,
mm-hmm.
Like New York and so forth. But depending on how back how back you go, how back you go,
what kind of Freudian slip is that?
Go, definitely a Freudian slip. But then he also made the face we said New York because that's what Tyreek he calls Tether Central. Everybody goes to New York. You know what I'm saying? You ever notice that nobody's really from New York? I did a video on one of the Native American Black foundation. I guess we're gonna call them Foundation of Black Americans now. And she's from Staten Island. Her lineage go way back, even to the name of Sandy Land, Sandy Grounds. But a lot of people go to New York. It's a metropolitan, a lot of people, a lot of nations go there. But, oh, I'm from New York. It'll be first, second generations.
You've always seen kind of the immigration, the movement from the southern states into the northern states.
Right. Yeah, they were.
So I know, because I know I think they do have some relatives like in Florida and stuff like that. So it might be
is it possible that somebody they got Caribbean ancestry? Is it possible?
No.
Because you would know.
Not that I specifically know.
Okay.
But no, they haven't done DNA tests and so forth.
No, you don't even have to do DNA tests. You never been to a family reunion?
No.
Okay. It's possible there's some kind of immigrant background.
Possibly, yeah.
It's possible.
And I'm an immigrant myself.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yes, you are. And that's the thing. What makes a foundational Black American is that we don't have immigrant lineage. That's the thing. That's what makes you a foundation. It's not a group. It's not an organization. It's not something that you join. It's acknowledging the people who are literally the foundation of this nation. Me, on both sides of my family, I have no immigrants in my family. My mother and father, both lineages come from the South.
Okay.
From the beginning of this country. I can trace my lineage to the mid 1700s. On paper.
Speaking of lineage or whatnot, through all the information that I got through, we found one child of an African, through all the paperwork and all the information of going through records and things like that. I think that is that Mabel, great grandma Mabel, something like that. I gotta ask my family, my California family out here, they know. Yeah, one person out of all this paperwork that we got on people, we know one person for a fact from Africa. Everybody else wasn't.
Deeper, and it goes deeper than that. So that's what we talk about when we mean foundational Black American. We're just acknowledging our lineage and the importance and significance of it in this country, because we are a very unique ethnic group. That doesn't mean that we're better or worse than anybody. We are a unique ethnic group with a very unique history here. And we want people to give that the same respect that we give other people. There's the thing, Vlad, where people want to make us generic Africans. The term African American is a misnomer. That was a term that got popularized in 1988 by Jesse Jackson, the Congress.
Yeah, I definitely never followed. Nobody in my family ever was the type to follow the types like Jesse Jackson. Just wasn't.
National Black Caucus and the Democrats. No,
Okay.
we as a group, we never called ourselves African American. I think the term African American was in a book in the 1700s by a black preacher. I forgot what the guy's name, but that was the only time we would see that term during slavery. That was a term that we generally didn't use. Really, it didn't get popular until the late 80s. And the term was given to us, and that term was given to us to make us comparable to immigrants. It was to say that we're just like an Italian American, we're just like a Mexican American. So that was to basically almost sanitize our unique history here. And that worked.
A lot of social engineering goes on in America. A lot of social engineering. And in the day of social media, oh man.
Against us. The term African American is a misnomer. Elon Musk is an African American.
Right.
You know?
South African American.
Yeah, but African American still.
Correct.
There's a lot of people from places like the Sudan and other places who are African Americans. And, you know, they'll have a lot of vitriol towards us here. So the term African American is a misnomer. So we wanted a term that was more indicative of who we were and who we are. And that's where Foundation of Black American comes from.
Okay. Now, the argument is,
Mhm.
well, technically, your people did come from Africa. They didn't immigrate because they wanted to. They were stolen and forced to come over here. But there was a movement from Africa into America, but that happened hundreds of years ago. So that's why you're differentiating from people who came over maybe 1 or 2 generations ago?
Right, so that's the thing. There's two things that happened. There was people brought over from Africa, but in smaller numbers, very small numbers here. Most of the people brought over from Africa didn't come to North America. Most of them were taken down to Brazil, taken to the Caribbean. I think it was less than 6% of the people brought from Africa who made it over here to North America. Those people who were brought over here from Africa, they were mixed in with the indigenous and black indigenous tribes here, where there were a lot of black people who were already here. Several archaeologists and historians and other people, they proved this. There's a white archaeologist and historian back in the 70s and 80s. His name was Alexander von Wutnow, and he wrote some books, and he was working with the Smithsonian and all of these other museums showing. The book is called Unexpected Faces.
Speaking of the Smithsonian, how Trump is trying to take that away, the information on slavery here, the brutal, grueling, inhumane conditions. Maybe it's because he doesn't want to give reparations. It's definitely because that.
In early America. And he talks about all of these Negroid figurines and statues and monuments that were here for thousands of years, proving that black-skinned Negroid-looking people were here on this land. There's a great book by a brother named Chase McGee. A young brother wrote a book with a lot of facts and receipts in it, talking about the 19 white men who said they saw black people in the Americas. And he just went down the list of all of the explorers who got here and saw the natives, and they described them the same way they described African people. So there was already a black presence here. So
like I keep telling people, we just keep telling people shit and they just don't listen until something affects them. Tell the Mexicans, you know you ain't white, right? You're never gonna be white. They're never gonna accept you as white, right? Anytime, you know, they love you because you're expendable. Okay. Hey, Africa, you know they don't, you know you still African, right? Like, you know what I mean? They still gonna bomb your nations and assault your women and things like that, right? You're here because you're expendable. Okay. You can get booted out. You don't want to listen. Or you know the government is is wicked and they really don't care about us. You know. Oh no, okay. Well, we've been here and we know we're natives and we also, we need our reparations. A lot of that will just solve a lot of problems. The answer of 99 out of 100 questions, the answer is money. That's from David Ames Sr. in the movie Vanilla Sky. Good movie. Watch that.
That black presence here mixed with the Africans who were brought in. And then there was an ethnogenesis and we became a new group, you see. So that's what the argument is, not that we don't have African DNA. Of course we have African DNA.
Yeah.
I have African DNA. Most people on the planet have African DNA. But we had an ethnogenesis the same way a Jamaican had an ethnogenesis. They don't call themselves African Jamaican. You're Jamaican. You got a very unique history. When you see a Jamaican, their culture is unique.
Mhm.
The food, the music, the style. Haitians the same way. I was in Fiji about a year or so ago. Beautiful people, beautiful black people with afros, and they told me their origin story. They're like, "Hey, brother, you know, our origin comes from East Africa. We came from East Africa centuries ago, and they were telling me all of the words that were over there that are in their vocabulary, and they were breaking this down. Fijians, they don't call themselves African Fijians, even though they acknowledge their African genesis. They had an ethnogenesis and became a whole different ethnic group. Same with us. We became a new ethnic group. We had a new culture, new style, new food, culinary things. We created a whole music, everything. The thing is, we are supposed to be an exploited, undefined, generic class. This is what the dominant society wants from us. So we're never supposed to define ourselves. They always give labels to us. You guys are colored. You guys are Negro. You guys are people of color. You guys are minorities. You guys are African American. And that has weakened us. So now we say, you know what? We're foundational Black Americans. And that's what it is. And that kind of shook up the table. Now that's a big discussion online now. You know?
Yeah, I actually looked it up while you were talking. So you're right. 388,000 enslaved Africans were brought directly to the United States.
388,000 compared to 12 million is crazy. I didn't even know it was that little amount of people that made it to the continent of North America. That is crazy. I didn't know that. Fun fact. That is a very small proportion. We kind of see it in the culture of the Caribbeans and the Afro Latinos. You kind of see the difference. You know?
Out of over 12 million people
Right.
who were forcibly transported across the Atlantic.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it would have been more, but then a bunch of them died.
Right. Right.
The whole Middle Passage situation.
And then in the early 1800s, they stopped the importation of African people. They stopped it. But the population was still growing. Why? Because there was already Black people here. Already here. California, there was a whole bunch of Black people here. The Mojave Indians, the Ohlone Indians. You got paintings and pictures of them. California is named after a Black woman, by the way. Queen.
That's a fact. I know that my father used to love the Moors, you know, who were amalgam of Black and Arab peoples mixed in together, and sometimes not as mixed, sometimes it's blue-black. And that is definitely a Moorish, you know, fable. If it was true or not, I don't know. And Calafia, you still have Calafia Highway Parkway, something like that out here close by. And they said it was an island out here. Actually, Paleolithic, you know, researchers do say, you know, about how the inside of California had a California Sea or something like that. You could tell with all the mountains, and also they have like a bunch of seashells in the desert out here.
Califia, based on a Moorish story from Spain. Yeah, you didn't know that?
I assumed this was a Mexican name just because so many of the cities, San Francisco, Los Angeles, like these are all, you know.
Yeah, but
California was some sort of Mexican thing.
It's based on Califia. That's an Islamic word.
Aha.
Yeah.
That's right. Based off the Caliphate.
No,
I learned something new today.
Yeah. The Moors, they were Muslims who were in Spain. And they brought a lot of Moors over here. When the Spanish explorers came, they brought a whole bunch of Christianized Moors over here. They had to convert them to Christianity. So when we talk about Mexico was a slave colony too. People forget about that. They were
really?
Yeah. Mexico was a major slave colony.
Huh.
They be acting like it's an indigenous name for the country, for that geopolitical area, things like that. And you know, they're talking about, oh, the states used to be part of Mexico. So you mean the land that New Spain took over? You're acting like Aztecs was running around building pyramids and sacrificing motherfuckers in LA or fucking Colorado or something. Like, yo, that was land taken over by New Spain, a slave colony.
Yeah,
because Spain came over.
Spain came over, and they had slavery.
Of course. They speak Spanish over there. It's not like that's a native language.
Right.
This whole hemisphere, really.
Yeah, a lot of the culture, the fandango and menudo, all of these things come from, you know, African culture. Even the Spanish rice. What the hell is Spanish rice? It's basically like a form of jollof, but
I like jollof better.
Yeah, but one of the first presidents of Mexico, Vicente Guerrero, he was Black. And he was the one who ended slavery down there. So slave and Pio Pico, he came up here from Mexico. He was black and Hispanic. That's what Pico Boulevard is named after.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was a heavy black presence down in Mexico that people like to forget. That's where the Olmec heads were. You go.
That's a fact. Very interesting stuff right there. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. And all the haters out there, please hate. Go ahead, continue your comments. It's only helping the page. All right. One love. Salam alaikum.